Now it's time for Around the County with Judge Executive Tim Hutchins, brought to you by Joe Hill's Power Sports and Outdoor Equipment. Heard each Tuesday right here on WBRT. We got the judge back in the house with us. Last week was fiscal court meeting day, and apparently y'all went along a little bit. Yeah. We've got guests today.
Yeah. Good morning, Roth.
Good morning.
Yeah, last week I couldn't be here, and I had sent. I think Lisa came, and I guess it went okay with the Chamber of Commerce. So yeah. So today we've got Shanna Brussels. She's Assistant Director with the Nelson County Dispatch, and we've got Shawn Gaither, if I say that right, and he's the director of the dispatch center here in Nelson County. So I thought it'd be a good time to bring them on board, and kind of anybody's got any questions, or Roth, I'm sure you got a few questions, and kind of let people know y'all can just chime in whenever you're ready, and we'll just basically I just want everybody kind of, people to listen, see what's going on in the community, and we'll do, I've got several people lined up to come in weekly.
Okay.
Because they can't ask me the same questions every week. So.
Well, my question is for our audience and myself too, just to make sure I know, who all do you dispatch for?
So we dispatch for all emergency services in Nelson County, and then we also dispatch for animal control and the coroner as well.
So emergency services, fire, police,
and EMS.
EMS.
Mm-hmm.
How many fire departments do we have? 5?
6.
6 counting the city of Barstown, right?
Yes.
So you've got, correct me if I'm wrong here, you got the Bloomfield Fire Department, you got Nelson County Fire Department, you got Boston Fire Department, New Hope Fire Department, and New Haven, Rolling Fork Fire Department, and then you got the city of Barstown Fire Department. And they dispatch for all of those, and of course EMS, and then police. And how many calls we take a year? We figured it up. Total, it blow your mind.
So last year we averaged, it looked like we got around 76,000 calls that came in, but we averaged about 46,000 for actual service. And what that means is that we sometimes get calls that don't require law enforcement or emergency response. But the 46,000 that we took last year did require a response from either law enforcement, fire, or EMS.
That number is astonishing.
It is. We added another, just to give you a little bit of history, back when I was a magistrate, I think I started in 1994, and then we had 2 dispatch centers here, and the city had one, and then there was a private, I guess with Mr. Pruitt was running it, managing it. Joey Pruitt was the EMS director, and at some point, I don't know when do we combine them. Do you remember what year that was?
2007.
2007, and it was operated. It's a certified central dispatch is what our goal was, because you get more 911 fees, more money that you get from the state if you did all the proper things. And so we recognized that, the fiscal court at that time and the city council, and we came together and worked out a deal, and we put it under a board. So it was operating under a board, and the board was made up by police and fire and different people, and the sheriff and the city police, and I think y'all changed directors, or not directors, but chairman every other year, every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years. So that went good, I think, for a long time, and that was a starting process. And then last year, it'll be 2 years in July, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
That when I came on board, after the first 6 months, we recognized that you could probably use some more improvements, and you got a different boss every year, every 2 years, basically, over the dispatch, and you don't really have a direct, somebody direct either city or county over it, and, it's a county-wide. So, I was advised, and people talked to me, and I knew about this for a long time, too, that it really needed to be under Nelson County fiscal court. So we sat down and worked out the details, and there was a lot of I guess, opinions that the city would never let that go that way, City of Bardstown, but I met with Mayor Heaton and City Council and the Fiscal Court and, of course, Dispatch and everybody involved. There was a few people didn't want to do it, but overall, there was a vast majority thought it needed to be under the Fiscal Court. And, of course, so we did it. And this will be 2 years in July, and so we've the city still helped us with some financing for 3 years. We've adjusted our fee schedules, and we basically they didn't have any money. I mean, it was flat out, just barely, getting by. And so we've raised the wages with the dispatch employees. They were way underpaid, and I think the turnover rate is a lot less. I would have to say we looked at that in basically every department that we've done this across since I've been the judge, and you got to be able to live within your means, but we would make sure that we adjusted our pay scales, and there's still more room for improvement. There's a lot of equipment. When you get into sophisticated equipment, it's very costly. We got in our budget this coming year to try to upgrade several $100,000, and so we recognized that, and everybody jumped on board, and I think so far it's running pretty good. Or there's been we've not to say it was bad, but I think we stepped it up another level, and that's what I've heard Shawn say. We want to be the best in the state, and so I think we've really, and they've got all kinds of different recognitions throughout different associations in the last 2 years since I've been here, 2.5 years. So
I think kind of to mirror what the judge is saying is that we recognized that there was a lot of changes in dispatch that was needed, and I think we've made a lot of changes for the better. We do have room to grow. We only tout our acknowledgments and our accomplishments by the staff that we have, because without them, we couldn't make it happen. Shanna here has done an outstanding job as assistant director. She took a huge lead on our training program to adjust our in-house training. We've now become P33 certified. We've had numerous awards over the last couple of years. Dispatch Center of the Year last year. Shanna was Supervisor of the year before for the state of Kentucky. So, again, it's just a testament to the hard work that they do every day, and it takes a special kind of person to sit behind those headsets and take those calls day in, day out to help our community and, provide a service that, they ultimately deserve.
I'm sure, Shanna, with the flooding, the number of the calls go, and anytime we have a disaster or something of that magnitude and over that length of time, the calls probably go up, and that calls to you guys if it's an emergency.
Oh yeah, they do. They do. We probably got pretty fortunate once the actual flooding hit that the command trailer was pulled out and it was set up in Boston. So a lot of the rescues and stuff, unless we were taking the calls specifically, if they called 911 or called on non-emergency line, we didn't have a hand in that. It was all in-house and handled down in Boston. So that took a lot of stress off our dispatchers. Okay. So all the basically them going door to door and giving their location and stuff, they gave that to the person in the command trailer, and they kept track of all that. But snowstorms and all that, the call volumes do go up quite a bit.
We've had a pretty rough winter, really. You take the ice storm we had one kind of back to back, and then some snow and quite a bit of snow and
a whole lot of rain.
And a lot of rain, and then we had the first flooding episode, and then that was in I don't remember when it hit, but about a month before the last one, and then the last one, because it was bigger and more, and I've said it on here, all of our emergency staff, and from EMA all the way through across the board, firefighters and police, and like I said, we had those remote, I guess you'd say, trailers down there, and it really worked out pretty good because we was very well prepared. Now, I'm going to probably send an email out today or tomorrow, going back and looking back and trying to get everybody's opinions and what could we do better, what did we do wrong, because nothing's perfect, unless you're there and witness it and see it. And so I'm going to send that out and try to get like a report back from any and everybody really that says, we should have done this better or that better, or try to improve on it. And but we were very well prepared, and the National Weather Service, it's kind of, when they predict these things, and they said we was going to get 10 to 15 inches of rain, and by golly, that's what we got. So and those ice storms, and you go back to those wind storms we had when I first got elected, and it was March, I think, is when we had those straight line wind storms, and they really hit. That was a bad one too. I mean, we've had a lot of dang on storms since I've been here, and a lot of what I call natural disasters, and it's taken a whole lot of resources and, of course, a learning curve, and we've tried to upgrade and get better equipment in the road department and everything, trying to upgrade our, be more prepared, if and when, and one day you'll have you hate to say it, but when another tornado hits at some point in your life, and that could be huge as far as, you got to be well prepared for that. And you just seen where you had an earthquake in Tennessee, and we're on that New Madrid fault, and they've been talking about it for a long time, and we met about a year and a half ago. I met with some groups about that. There's about earthquakes and what would happen, and the bridges and roads, and you got to have the equipment, and so we got to beef that plan up. This takes a lot of time and resources, not to know if it's going to happen, but it's probably a matter of when it's going to happen. So there's a lot to it, and they do a good job out there. We brought another. Well, y'all was running about 4 dispatchers or 3.
We try to run, mostly we run 3 on each card, but, last year, Judge, definitely approved us additional bodies to run 4 around the clock. It's not always easy to do. People have time off, vacation time, sickness, those type of things. But we try to make sure that center is always occupied by no less than 3. Because this community, requires us to do a job, and you have to have the personnel in there to do that job, especially during these large-scale events that we've had this year and in the previous year. But our staff are trained. They're trained to handle the situations, the call volume, and just being able to take on the responsibility that they have to undertake to do that job. Their training is solid, and they put a lot of time into getting their craft right, because we do hold a balance there of life and death, and we try to do our best to have the best outcome in every situation that we have.
You mentioned the 3 on and preferred 4, and that's 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. When I first got into radio, if we were on the air, we had to have somebody in the building to be able to monitor equipment. Now, through technology and remote monitoring, we don't. And I know how hard it was to find one person on Christmas morning, New Year's morning, after a New Year's Eve. And you guys, so that's a sacrifice that your staff has to, and you too have to do, besides saving people's lives. Sometimes you're away from your loved ones because of that.
Yeah, it definitely takes a commitment and a level of dedication from the individuals that sit underneath that headset. It's a passion. It's not just a job or a career. It's a drive that makes you come in and do it every day. Yeah. And once you lose that, you've lost focus.
So go ahead, Rose.
I was going to ask, what has technology, first of all, the technology that we all have on our person's cell phones, what benefits and what possible issues has that created?
So with technology, it's like anything else. It's good when it's working well. It's bad when it's not. But we have updated this agency to where, we can almost directly pinpoint where someone is through a phone call, through our Rapid SOS, Rapid Deploy. We have a Prepared that can actually send out a link to your phone. We can get live video from the scene so that we can update our responders what they're going into, what they're going to see when they get there. And it gets them better prepared for when they get on scene to what they have to handle. There's nothing better than letting them know that you've got people injured in an accident, and this is how many people that are hurt, or this is what it looks like from our end based on what the caller is telling us. Technology has greatly improved, and again, as we move towards next gen 911, we move more to the text and 911 stuff that's coming out here in the next few months. The continued videoing from the scene, those type of things, interoperability of CAD to CAD, being able to send information from one county to the next to let them know what they have coming in their direction. It is a remarkable feat of where we started in dispatch. When dispatch first started, everything was done on pencil and paper, and you entered it at the end of your shift. And now you have the technology that allows you to do it as you go through the process of taking the call, and someone else is dispatching, and the call is being recorded so we can go back later and listen to see what we've done well, what we need to improve upon, areas of growth and things like that. So we've come a long way in dispatch, and I can tell you in the next, say, 3 to 5 years, it's only going to get better.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting, but expensive as hell.
I knew that was coming.
That's just the way it is, and you just try to. And I think we've got our dispatch center in solid financial shape, and knowing that we have a lot of equipment that it's like anything else. Hear some people maybe complain about the 911 fees or whatever, but if you don't have a good dispatch center, you're not going to have a good police center, ambulance, fire. I mean, it starts right here. And if you don't have a good dispatch center that's operating properly and professionally, and you just everything else is going to fall through the cracks. I mean, that's just a fact of life, and I think we recognize that when I recognized it when I came in, and when I was campaigning, I talked to a lot of people about it, and we realized that we had to make some sacrifices and take on some more challenges, and it's not like I want something else to do, so that actually falls underneath my umbrella. And I don't know how many divisions I got under my umbrella, but how many employees we got out there altogether, totally, part-time, full-time, and it's
13 full-time, 12 full. We have 12 full-time right now, and we've got 4 part-timers with one of those part-timers in training right now. So,
that's not including us.
Yeah, so you got around 20 more staff people that we got to do, but it's good. I mean, you got to if you're going to make the community and go to the next level, it's very, very important. But without that, nothing else would be. And so we did the same thing in ambulance. I know the fire departments, everybody's in the same boat. They need better equipment, and like I say, the technology to get them where they need to be at, and so far I feel pretty good about everything. And in the last year, this next year I think it'll get even better. And Ross, one thing we didn't talk about, Joe Hill's Power Sports, and I want to thank them for sponsoring this show, Joe Hill Power Sports, and they've been very good, and they can call on this line. You still got this set up, don't you?
I do indeed. 348-2222 if you want to text in. We do have one, but we'll hear from Joe Hills, and we'll come back with more of Around the County. Nelson County Judge Executive Tim Hutchins.
Gear up for a spring at Joe Hill's Power Sports and Equipment in Bardstown. We can meet all your needs. Save time with a zero-turn mower with brands such as Exmark, Kubota, Wright, Ferris, Hustler, and Steel. Starting as low as $3,799, 0% financing options are available. Don't forget Steel handheld power equipment. Starts easier, works smarter, finishes faster with America's #1 selling brand. Steel, available at Joe Hill's, powering your passion for over 70 years. Joe Hill's Power Sports and Equipment on the 245 bypass at Salem Drive.
We're back with Around the County with Judge Executive Tim Hutchins, and his guests today are from our dispatch, and that's Director Shawn Gaither and Assistant Director Shanna Brussel. And we had a text in asking us about development that something's happening next to
And
the.
Freddy's Burgers up on the 245, and to my knowledge, that's the new Chick-fil-A being built. And I think it just started on it, like I say, last week, I believe. And everybody's talking about Chick-fil-A, so it's coming.
I guess somebody's prayers have been answered.
Yeah. I don't know when the opening date will be, but it's just more opportunities. They go in right there beside that. It's Betham's sports complex right there. And there's other different restaurants, and I'll let them make their public announcements. I won't make them for them, but I mean, there's several more coming in. You had the coffee shop opened up on Bloomfield Road 2 weeks ago, I think. Big B's, I think if that's how you pronounce it, Big B's. I think there's more of them coming. So there's a lot of potential in this county and the city, and we've got a lot of things going on, and get these emergencies as far as this flooding and stuff behind us now. I mean, real clear here that we still have been waiting on, I guess, FEMA to declare individual assistance for Nelson County. We haven't got it yet. Especially the people in the Boston area and the flooding, and my team and my staff from, Brad and Metcalf and Brad Spalding, the floodplain coordinator, and Catherine's been really helping a tremendous amount in that area. She's our finance person, and they've been in a lot of just tons of information coming and going. So we will make it. I think everything went really, really well. Now, I know the patience on some people is very thin, and if I was there, I would be probably 10 times worse, because you want to get back in your house, you want to get it cleaned up, but you got to wait on that red tape, and I hate it. But our group has done is what we can do. That's all I can say is what we can do. We push, and hopefully we'll get the regular individual assistance declaration and coming down to sooner than later, and then try to help these people. And it's a shame, you get in that until you see it on TV, hear it on the news, but when you see it firsthand, and you go in some of these houses and water's flooding up, that high, and it destroyed everything, and firsthand, you don't have no place to go, and it's really sad, and I hate it for them. So we try to do everything we can. We put out the bins and the roll-off boxes, and all kinds of volunteers helping out, and so it's been. But it's still, you do whatever you want, but when it hits your own home, it's rough. It's just a rough time. So
let's talk E91. Funding for it comes through. Used to be, well, it still is, I guess, telephone lines, landlines, which are becoming fewer and far between, and now being able to get for cell phone.
So what that's called is called the CMRS. It comes from the state, and it's not based on the number of your population or the number of calls you get to your call center. Those things have no bearing on it. What it comes down to is telephone subscribers to cell services, AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, all those different types of cell carriers, and the state collects a portion of those fees from cell phone revenue, and then they divvy it up to each county certified PSAP. You have to be a certified PSAP to receive those funds.
Certified what?
PSAP, Public Safety Answering Point.
Okay.
And so once and there's 108, I think, total certified PSAPs in the state of Kentucky. So those funds are split up equally to each one of those agencies, and you get what's called a pro rata rate, and then you also get a volume payment. Volume payment is generally a little bit more than what the pro rata payment is, and so we bring in pretty good money from that. And again, those are state funds that come, and those funds directly help our dispatch center. That's what they're used for. We don't use it for anything else other than 911 for the dispatch center. And like I said, those fees, they make up a good part of our budget, and it's how we operate. And without those fees, the cost to the community could potentially be a lot more than what it is right now.
And that's the 911 fee that you see on your cell phone bill.
That is it?
Mm-hmm, that's where all that comes from.
And it goes to the state. I would have thought that
Yeah.
No particular county. It goes straight to the state, and then in Frankfort, they have a board. They get the funds in. They divvy it up equally to all the certified public safety answering points, and every quarter we get a percentage. So we generally get 4 payments a year from the state.
And they hold some of that back, though, for our grants, right?
They do. And so, the grant window just closed mid-April. Luckily, we were able to submit for several grants. We haven't got word whether those were approved or not, but again, we apply for those grants, and we have to do what's called a 10% match. So if we get a $10,000 grant to pay for new equipment and dispatch, we're only responsible for $1,000 of that $10,000. The other $10,000 comes from the state at no cost to our dispatch center. So that also eliminates extra costs that could come from the county have to pay additional fees and taxes to our agency. So we do everything we can to try to lessen that burden on our taxpayers, because we know that their cost of living is what it is, and we try to offset that by applying for these grants. And again, it's essentially free money. If you don't apply for it, you can't get it.
Go ahead.
I think, though, as far as the landlines, we were talking about that, they voted to change that from the landline, what you used to receive, to putting it on the residents' tax bills as a 911 fee, because no one really has landlines anymore.
Right.
And so now it's every single resident or every single dwelling.
It's not a vacant piece of land, but you have to have a building or structure on the land, and the 911 fees, it's on your tax bill. The fiscal court voted to do that many years ago, to put it on the tax bill. There was legislation came through Frankfurt or whatever, and I forget what it was, but the 911 fee, it's on everybody's tax bill, and that money comes to goes and operates this center. Without that, because like I say, back in the day when we did when we joined the centers, and whenever you said what year it was,
2007.
They, you still had a lot of landlines, but man, that stuff, it didn't take long for that to go away. So you got to be very creative, and that money, it's directly on your tax bill. Everybody can see it, so it's not a hidden secret. So, but it takes millions and millions of dollars. It's not like. It's equipment. It's like your car. It's like everything else. Nothing lasts forever. It just wears out, and you got to replace it. And we got to make sure. I'm going to make sure that this fiscal court and the next fiscal court, the next judge is. We got to make sure that everything's in good shape for the next generation to come. And there's potentially some more changes we can make in different programs that we can offer, and there's going to be more coming down the pipeline. There's I don't know what there's a system they use out there now that we think that we haven't been they haven't serviced it, the provider, as well as what they should have in the last couple of years, and so we're looking at that possibly changing that over. But it just takes a lot of money. It's I don't know what your total budget is. I didn't bring it with me, but
it's quite a bit. It's a couple million. So
yeah,
it takes a lot to operate that agency, from staffing, equipment, just wear and tear. People have to understand that we operate 24/7. There is no off days. There is no shutdown periods. None of that happens in dispatch. You've got to keep that place running. And with those computers and all the stuff that operates, the servers, the programs, it just takes a lot.
Yep, and that equipment's running 24/7.
Yeah,
all the time.
They take Roth. Shawn made that point to me here. You don't realize it here, maybe a year or so ago, and the people that's taking those calls, and you've seen it on TV or whatever, and people on the other side, just screaming and frantic, and their loved ones maybe be dying, or a gunshot or a wreck, and you got all you get the suicides, you got all these things that these people got to deal with, and I didn't really think about that too much before. You see it and hear it, but one day we was talking about it, and I think we had like 3 suicides that week. And these poor people, sitting here Man, you got to deal with that stuff. You know, you got this, like these veterans, you're talking about the PTSD and all these things that happens, but it puts a lot of trauma on your body and your brain, and I tell you, it's most of us, I think a lot of people just take it for granted, to be honest about it, and don't realize how very important it is and what they have to deal with every single day.
I think recently we saw the dispatcher in Louisville on the phone with the, I guess, truck driver whose truck cab was hanging off the side of a bridge over the, I guess.
It happened about a year ago,
Yeah.
and they replayed it this week, wasn't it?
Okay.
And it was, you seen that? My goodness.
Talked him, calmed, said this thing's going to be all right. And of course, it did end up all right. But,
Yeah.
but the dispatcher got great accolades for trying to calm a person down.
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about here, I talked to Senator Higdon this morning while I'm on here, is not really related to that subject, but they're going to, who is it, PSC? I don't know if PSC is actually the one who oversees this Public Service Commission, but the 502 area code it's already
Full?
Yeah.
So they sent out a email here, and I've got a meeting in June, and Jimmy's going to write a letter and let everybody know. So the Kentucky Public Service Commission, which they call PSC, and there's another one on here, North American Numbering Plan Administrator. So they went through this in Marion County, so Jimmy's very aware of it. He's Senator Higdon, and he's shared this with me that they need to do what they call an overlay. So we don't want people to lose the 502 that they've got. I think that's the important piece of it. There's going to be some added, but we don't want people that has it today lose it, because I think we understood him. I didn't get to really talk to him. We've been going back and forth. They had a bunch of stuff happen in Jefferson County, and what happens is when they went from 502 to 270, he said there was like 10,000 phone numbers on, so that piece is coming up, and I'll probably I'll get Jimmy, I may even have him come on here, maybe we can talk about it a little bit, let the community know what's going on. There'll be some more articles coming out, and we want to do what he calls an overlay, where people that still have the 502 doesn't lose the business. As you imagine changing all your literature and all your mail and everything. You have to change all your cards, and so you don't want people to lose what they've got. And if the new one's coming on, so I just want to bring that up. That's coming up, and see all those little stuff we got to do behind the scenes. So that'll be I think there's a meeting coming up in June about that piece. And the other thing today I want to talk about, off the subject a little bit here, is Howardstown Road. I announced at the fiscal court last week. Brad Bottoms, the state engineer from E-Town, his team and we all met here a few weeks ago, and this comes out of what they call the rural secondary money, because that's rural secondary road. We've got several of them. There's several of them that are getting in, pretty bad shape, but Howardstown Road, for sure, since I've been here and people's talked about it, is probably the worst one by far. I mean, it's really rough. So we've agreed to allocate those funds, and we're going to do Howardstown Road. We blacktopped all the way from 52 all the way to Howardstown. That whole road will get overlaid. And I've told that is at the courts, I just let the public know, the people out there, because they really appreciate that, because they've been screaming and hollering and getting that done for several years. And that's about $1.1 million that's coming out of the, that piece of it comes out of the gas tax.
Yeah.
But it could be done in we were going to do different roads and pieces of this road, that road, but we decided to put it all on Howardstown Road because it just needs it so desperately. So I don't want to bring that up today. And
how's our bridge repair or replacement coming down towards Boston?
It's almost, it may get open. That's been a nightmare from hell too. That was oh my gosh, all these people taking that that other road, that shortcut, and all the wet and mud and trucks. Oh, Lord, it's been phone calls. But I think they've got the concrete, and I think they got the guardrails, and I would say it'll be open here in a couple of weeks.
Right.
So then we'll have that. We'll get that other road, the little road. What's the name of that road? I don't know. You remember the name of it? We put shoulders on it to one everybody's. Well, they go through Bellwood. That's another one, but Hugh Ice Loop. That's the one county road everybody's using as a shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
And the people on that road has really been, because it's so narrow. It's just
I believe we had an accident on it, blocked it yesterday.
That was Bellwood.
Bellwood.
Truck overturned on Bellwood.
Yeah.
And coming around, that's the one they're supposed to take as a detour, and a lot of them trying to come through Hugh Ice Loop. But the people that live on Hugh Ice Loop, I'm telling them right now that we put shoulders on it. As soon as that road gets opened up, we'll be down there cleaning that road up, fixing the shoulders, seeding and strawing, getting the ditches fixed back up, and because they have used that road a lot, and it's been pretty dangerous. It's hard. You can't have a police guy there 24 hours a day and directing. I just don't have the resources. But it's been a challenging time there when they're doing that bridge for sure. But that's progress. You got to get your bridges fixed and repaired, and nobody wants to wait. But
We talked earlier about disasters. There have been disasters that have damaged or destroyed dispatch centers. What type of plan can you put together, or do you have to, in case that disaster we're talking about actually hits you guys? I mean, would state police and other surrounding things be able to, quote, dispatch for us, or?
Well,
I know you hate to even talk about it.
Well, the mobile unit that we've got, like when we used in Boston, and I don't know if that would be able to, but it definitely would work and help, and how elaborate it would be. But that's short term. It's set up for that.
And then we do have one station, one console over at Nelson County EMS that we could go to.
Okay.
But for short term, until we made the transition, we would have our mutual aid agreements and stuff. We would have those agencies take over for that short term while we made those transitions.
Because every once in a while I'll see something, bulletin will come out, and some communities lost their 911 system. I mean, it happens. I mean,
it does.
And it doesn't have to be a tornado or an ice storm.
Well, down your way, when they had a big tornado.
When they went through Mayfield, I was sitting there trying to think. I mean, City Hall stood, and the fire, can't remember where the dispatch center was.
I can't either, but and then the same one on, when you had those tornadoes, there's been several dispatch centers destroyed. And the 100% best way to do it, if you do it like they want you to do it, is you go in the basement, and you got to build these big thick walls, and you put it all underground, and it's got to be, and you got to have, it's complicated and a lot of money to do it. And that's the best way to go. Know you're protected in future for, forever. I ain't gonna say forever, but long time.
Yeah, so the other thing of that is that, like Shanna said, we'll rely on Kentucky State Police, Washington County, and I'm sure that Jefferson County would take some overload of that. Again, when it comes down to is we have to have a good working relationship with these other counties, so that if we get into that situation, I say if, more like when, that we do have a backup to make sure that Nelson County and the city of Bardstown, has the resources they need, that we can get out to them as soon as possible, and make sure that we do everything we can to keep our citizens safe. So I think we stress it sometimes, and we think about it all the time because it could happen. You know, I know Tim referenced the tornado we had back in March. I think it was last year. We were in a fiscal court meeting, and you know, we're all watching it, and so that happened down in Chaplin, and so we all, you know, those of us that work in 911 over at the agency, we all left, went back to our respective agencies, and you know, and our staff handled business. I mean, that's just what we do. We prepare, we train, and you know, hopefully you don't have to use it, but there is a time that does come into play.
Yeah.
I'm sure you may be like me every time lightning starts popping around, because lightning doesn't like your stuff or my stuff or anybody's stuff. I kind of lose my appetite and lose sleep until it passes over.
Yeah, that's
nature of what we do when it comes to electronics. So lightning is not our friend.
Not our friend, no. Judge?
Yes, sir.
Anything else on the plate for today?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, one exciting piece of news is we've got I got it awarded and voted on, and the old thing you always ask me, I tell you don't ask me about it no more. You didn't ask me today.
Oh, the renovation.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
The heat and air, especially the air now, and the heat was back, but for the courthouse, and we decided to rebid, and it's very complicated, and got into a lot of details, and we're going to replace and taking all the ductwork, the old boiler system out, and of course put a new heating and air system in, and it's way past due. You know, been band-aiding it for many years. It just takes a lot of money, and I get it. So we finally pulled the trigger, and the court voted to do it. And then of course the Tourist Commission and
well, that was going to be
Main Street Tourist Commission, Main Street, and then Lisa's the chamber. You know, downstairs I call it, and the BIDC. You know, we're going to remodel that downstairs at the same time we're doing this, and that's one of the things. They had money set aside to do that part, and then they've actually going to support and help do pay some extra money on heat and air also. And so when we do this, we're going to do it all at one time, and we're going to start probably July the 1st. So
it's new budget year, right?
Yeah. So
spend all the money at once.
Our bids came in at started out at 1.9, and we reworked it and got it down to 1.6, and then we rebid and got it down to about, I think it's $1,450,000, give or take $1 or $2. So, and it's been, and Brad Spalding has really put a lot of time. Me and him have talked about this a lot. He's met with all these people, and I want to make sure all the ductwork gets taken out and replaced, because the potential mold that could be there, and the safety for the employees, and I've just about got all the upstairs remodeled. We've been doing it little since I've been there on the floor. All the plaster and everything was falling off and damaged, and the bees and the leaks, and we got a guy working on the roof. He can't finish it until we get the new air conditioning units up on the roof, and we've got most of the leaks stopped. When you get these big rains, we'll have a few little ones will pop up, but it's a lot better. It's definitely a lot better. So
again, clarify for me, your office's second floor is what I call it.
Yeah.
Are not going to have to relocate.
We are, because we got to take all the ductwork out.
Okay. First floor, going to
relocate. Everybody in that building will relocate.
Okay.
So everybody on the upstairs, which is the judge's office and my staff, treasurer, finance director, Brad Spalding, my assistant, and the code enforcement, and Teresa, occupational license. We are going to move right behind Cinco, right now where the Commonwealth Attorney is. The Commonwealth Attorney, we've leased that from Revelations, owns the building. We leased that for the new Commonwealth Attorney took over in January, and they wanted to be in this area instead of LaRue County. He's from LaRue County, and the state called us. So we're remodeling that one unit beside the senior center. That's where the new Commonwealth Attorney office is going to be, and the state's paying for all that. We just have to oversee it all. So they're going to move in there probably at the end of June. free that building up, and everybody upstairs will go there. The second piece is everybody downstairs. So the licensing, we got the driver's licensing down at the career center temporarily. So the second piece of that senior center, now the senior center is not going away, everybody know, because they got a little confused on that. That's staying in where it's at, but there's 3 more sections there that never has been used. So the new driver's licensing is going out there, and it's going to give them so much more space. They've been well, luckily we had a place to put them temporarily when we got this announcement. Thanks to Diane Thompson, Senator England County Masseroni. We worked to get that done. So we got that piece. So when they move out there, everybody at the downstairs are going to move at the career center where they're at today. So it'll be their temporary spot. And I anticipate this thing's going to be, it's going to be a mess because there's a lot of stuff to tear out. I mean, you get up in that attic, you wouldn't believe. I mean, it's just old, about like you, it's old, wore out, So so we get it all cleaned up and we'll move back in. It'll probably, I'm going to say probably November sometimes before we get it completed because it's just a lot of work. But it's going to be a 5 to 6 month process, at least 4 months. It takes 16 weeks once we order the units, 16 weeks to get them. So that's 4 months right there. So hopefully they ordered them last week, and then, but it's, we'll have it all done and processed. I think it's going to be good. We need to, we've had those small little heaters scattered around everybody, and the girls, man, they haven't been very happy with me. It's been pretty cold, and then now the heat. I mean, it is pretty miserable, really, to be honest.
We have an open door policy there when the heat's there, because all the doors are open.
Well, the flies will be coming in for long, so that's got to stop. And but it's just part of progress. We'll get it done. And
well, I'd gotten in my mind, I had spoken with people on the first floor, so they were moving, and then I think when the bid opening and approval came, I heard the second floor, and I'm going.
Yeah, we decided that ductwork up there. Just because of, it needs to be redone. The insulation, once we get this done, the efficiency of these new units, with the insulation and the new units and the bills and the utility bills will be a lot cheaper too also. So that'll help, but but Brad Spalding has really worked hard on this. Our county engineer put a lot of time in on it above all his rest of his jobs he's got going, so.
Well, I'll miss you guys when y'all, but you're coming back. We were joking this morning a little bit, Roger and I, about fiscal court meetings years ago, and where I'm from. They sat around a little table in the corner in the county clerk's office, and y'all might be having to meet in a.
You meet down here. You got a room back here, don't you? Our fiscal court meetings, just to let you know that, when we start, they will be at the library.
Okay.
So
good.
Carol, my assistant, we worked out a deal with Michael, the director.
Yeah.
And emailing back and forth.
That's
and
great. Yeah.
I talked to him, matter of fact, last night when I was going to another event, I was talking to Michael, so we got all the, thanks to him also, he had to work out some scheduling because they've got different events there. So we want to be consistent when we had our meetings. Everybody knew we could go different places, but so we're going to be at the library until that happens. Everybody knows exactly where it's at and the parking and everything. So
won't be sitting around a little table in the corner.
No, we could go down to once a month. Maybe I would do that. See, legally you don't have to have but one meeting a month. And a lot of counties do that. Fiscal courts have one a month, but we've had 2 a month here for as long as I can remember. So it's worked out pretty good.
That's good.
It's just a lot of challenges, but we'll get there. You got any more questions for these 2 professionals here?
I mean, as we talked about, technology is amazing. One of the fearful things was if you called 911, you had an accident or whatever's going on. It was like, how do you find it? Well, that's.
Well, again, the thing of it is, it's all based on where you're calling from, and where it hits on the tower. there's going to be somebody that answers. Just let the community know there's going to be somebody that answers their call.
Yeah.
We are not going to ignore the citizens of this community. Regardless of whatever's going on, someone is going to answer that call. It may not be directly my staff if it has to move to another agency, but we will definitely have someone answering those phones when those calls come in. Just real quick from my end, I want to thank Shanna and my staff for everything they do. We talk about this all the time in our profession. They're the voice that everyone hears, but they never see them. They don't have a clue who they are. They just know it's a voice on the other end of the phone that's trying to get them the help they need, even when they're frantic and they're upset and they think we're not, responding to them fast enough. Understand, we have someone taking that call, but we also got someone sending the people to your home. So it works as a team. It takes everyone to feed off the next person in the room. And as we process the calls that come in, just understand that, we really try to do that, to follow the national standards, and we do a pretty good job of that. So.
Yeah. Just because we're asking you questions doesn't mean help's not already on the way. Unless you can't tell us where you're at and we can't pinpoint it, then help might not be on the way. But we're working on it, and there's probably multiple people working on trying to figure out where you're at.
We're expanding our tires too. We're putting a new one up in Culvertown. Matter of fact, the advertisements are going out. Started advertising, I think, this week or so. We'll move. Depends on the budget and everything, but we know the Culvertown ballpark, we got a big tire going there, and AT&T. Is it AT&T?
Yeah, I think so.
For Verizon.
For Verizon, I think.
Is that with Verizon?
I think
We're working out a deal with them that they're putting up the tire, and they're paying us so much a month, and then we get to use it and put all our equipment on it for the emergency services. Because you get down to the south end, it gets a little weaker because of all the hills and hollers. And then we're working on bidding on 2 more. That one's almost done. Actually, that's in progress right now. In Hyardstown, and maybe, I forget the other one, is maybe up back toward New Hope. But there's 2 more tires we're looking at to build in the south end of the county, and the signals will be so much better for everybody.
The one in Culvertown is on county-owned property.
County-owned property, that's correct.
The tire will be by Verizon,
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're going to pay us so much to use the land, and then we get to use it for free. So that was a good deal that we worked out. Yeah, helped out. That helped out a lot. So that's the other one. There's 2 other ones down there, and there'll probably be some more coming up and different locations. But we're working on a deal with one of them down there on the second one now too. So, but anyway, let people know, especially in the south end, and it helps. Just to police everybody, the signals and the radios. All right, thank you, Roth. And I want to say, Joe Hill's Power Sports, thank you for sponsoring us. And they can call or text this number anytime during the week, 348-2222, and we'll be here again next week. I'm not sure who I'm bringing yet. I've got a list, and I've had to rotate them out the last couple of weeks, depends on what's going on. So anyway, thank you. Thank y'all for coming today.
Thank you.
As the judge said, we'll be back next Tuesday. But you'll also be able to watch this show a little bit later on online by going to WBRT's Facebook page or Nelson County Gazette's Facebook page. We'll get this show posted. You can watch the replay at your convenience. That's Around the County with Judge Tim Hutchins, brought to you by Joe Hill's Power Sports and Outdoor Equipment.